Hello, I'm Jose, and this is the Cinematic Dogma podcast. As every week, I'm joined by my incomparable friend Blake.
Thanks, Jose. I'm happy to be here, and I brought my opinions.
You did?
I
Okay.
did.
Yeah, that's surprising. Yeah. I feel shocked right now. But yeah, what are your opinions about this week?
So we've
About
lately,
what movie?
we've lately been on a Cronenberg theme, I guess. And so what we watched? Well, we watched Crimes of the Future recently. I mean, within the last year or two.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of American History. No, it's not American History X. A History of Violence. Sorry. So we've been talking about Cronenberg a lot. And I believe this was your pick. You chose the 1981 cult classic Scanners, which you had seen before, correct? And I had not.
Yeah, and I think, we have been exploring a bit of body horror in general again. One thing that I remembered about this movie is I always have like a bit of a childhood memory of it, not because I watch it, but because I used to have like one of these like collectible albums, like stickers. I don't know if they were like popular here during the 80s and 90s, and you'll be like trading it with other kids for just like trying to complete all of it.
Yes.
So this was about sci-fi movies and special effects. And this was like in the 80s, so everything was very, like homemade. So there were like many stickers about Dark Crystal, Labyrinth. There was not a David Bowie crotch sticker. Because that would be like explaining why I'm gay nowadays.
Spoiler alert, I've never seen Labyrinth. It's on my to-be watch list specifically for what you just mentioned.
For that. Only for that. It's an hour and a half of that. So, but yeah, in any case, there was like a sticker of the head before and after exploding in Scanners. And that image haunted me for 20 years until I finally watched that movie when I started like exploring a bit of Cronenberg cinema. But at that point I was like, oh my God, this has to be like horrible, like such a horror movie, so it was always in the back of my mind until I watched it and I put it in context. It's like, oh, this is why the head truly exploded.
So again, I hadn't seen Scanners and I didn't know what it was about. But as I watched it, I realized how many of those images have creeped into the fabric of modern society today. Like, there's a number of memes made from images from this, which I didn't even know was from Scanners. Like the guy when he's looking all weird, and I'll find them. But anyway, what I was trying to say to talk about your head explosion stickers is, I didn't even know it was Scanners, but when I rewatched this, I was like, wow, that head scanner thing or the head explosion thing it's pretty iconic. If I'd seen it many times and didn't even know what movie it was from.
Yeah. So, do you want to summarize it?
I'm going to try. I'm going to give it my best shot, and you step in, having seen it more times than me. Sure. So Scanners takes place, well, it doesn't really mention when it takes place. The film came out in 1981. Our hero is named Cameron. Cameron is, I think he's homeless. They don't really explain who he is, but he's just somebody who has kind of some abilities that he doesn't fully understand. And then in a shopping mall, he overhears the thoughts of a Karen, basically, and then causes her to have he uses his mind to cause her to have a seizure.
Sure.
He doesn't realize, I think, he's doing it. He doesn't quite understand what's happening. But there are these men in black, nearby who belong to Wikipedia said it was a private military organization, but they don't really talk about who they are. It's just an organization that realizes that he has special powers and they kidnap him.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's like the military. I think that is like ComSec. Like the
it's a company called ComSec in the film. Again, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. It says private military company ComSec. Okay, private military company, whatever. So he's taken in by a doctor called Dr. Ruth. Dr. Ruth is working for ComSec, and he's trying to stop this group of criminal scanners. Sorry, a scanner is somebody with these same abilities. Led by a guy named Daryl Revick. And so he's recruiting scanners like Cameron to work for Consec, to infiltrate this guy's organization and to kill him, basically.
Yeah.
So Cameron kind of goes on this journey where he's been sent by Consec to kill Daryl. They go more by his last name, Revik. But ultimately, he learns more about his own powers, and then he meets other scanners, and not all of them are bad. So he's starting to question, should I kill Revik? Should I not? As he continues to inch towards Revik, and then it turns out that Cameron was working for Revik this whole time. Sorry, spoiler alert, 35 years old. So
Cameron was working for Rebok?
Sorry, I didn't mention about Keller. Keller was working for Revik. We're not going to talk about Keller. Sorry.
Yeah.
So just moving forward with Cameron. Cameron is trying to get to Revik, and this entire time he meets new scanners, different scanners, trying to figure out if he's going to kill Revik when he finds him.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he does find Revik. Revik has the opportunity to explain his motivations, what he's trying to accomplish, and Cameron has to make a decision, what am I going to do here? And that's basically pretty spoilery. I'm not going to give away the finale, just in case anyone hasn't seen it, but did I miss anything? There are some nuances, like Revik is actually distributing a drug widely, having it prescribed to women because this drug causes women to give birth to scanners, and he wants to grow an army. Did I do good? Because I really did study this plot.
No, I think that you did. I think that you actually just touched on everything about the intentions of basically world domination or creating a new world order from the scanners side. And this company, they're I understand that they're the ones that they manufacture also that drug.
Ephemeral.
Yes,
yeah. Dr. Ruth founded the company that creates this drug. And this drug helps scanners because they have all this stuff in their mind. This drug helps calm their minds so that they can control their powers. But the drug also causes pregnant women to give birth to scanners, so it's a double-edged sword.
Scanners, Yeah. I think that's good. So, did you like it?
Well, I want to comment on something you just said, that Revik is basically trying to create an army to take over the world, but they never really say that outright, except towards the very, very end, which is not a problem for me, except it calls into the light an issue I have where they don't fully scope out this world, nor what is the story trying to accomplish. You're kind of just supposed to suspend your disbelief and go for a ride of practical special effects, which are remarkable. I liked this movie, but there are some major, at least storytelling issues, including this kind of understanding the scale and scope of the story and what it's trying to...
Well, I think that is from that kind of B-series movie that expects you to fill the gaps, That is that they mention at the beginning when they tell the motivation, I think that Dr. Rudd explains this to Cameron about there is this renegade scanner, that is completely crazy, and he's actually enlisting all of the scanners. It's we lost track of all of them. From their perspective, is that they are all getting together. We don't know what, but it's a bit implied that this may be just generating an army of them. Now, as the movie progresses, is that we see that no, the other scanners are completely apart from them. From this crazy guy. In fact, it's this crazy guy is almost unhinged about just wanting to kill everyone else that is on his way. It's not so much about creating an army. So there are parts that as you said, is that they're a bit left to the imagination, but I think that is a bit of a side effect of this was done with basically no budget.
That's fair, and I think you have more experience in this genre, if you want to call it a B-movies, but what I could not make sense of last night when I watched it was, why does Consec care? What is the skin they have in the game? Because they're a private company. They're private. They're not trying to save the world. They have to be trying to make money somehow. How are they making money trying to stop Revik? What is the company's motivation?
I'm not completely sure. I mean, I think that some part is like, hey, they're interested in just having scanners in the wall, but also controlling them. So,
But sure, your guess is as good of mine. But this is like last night. I was like, I'm missing a major piece here because why? Who is paying Dr. Ruth to try and take down Revik?
well, I think that he was doing an investigation on scanners. No, I'm not completely sure if he founded the company itself, but he's the one that started the.
Not
How do you say, like
Consec.
this?
He founded the amalgamation
Oh, the
by
program. Yeah, 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 yeah.
no, the company
Yeah.
that creates ephemeral.
But that's not Consec?
No, it's something. Sorry, it's in the name here. Biocarbon Amalgamate. Biocarbon Amalgamate is
Oh,
the
that's
company
right. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, sorry.
creates
Yeah, yeah.
ephemeral and ships it under the project Ripe by Consec. You see, I
Yeah.
really do know my stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that you studied. Yeah. No, but I think that it's also like a bit of a Consec may want to explore these scanners as a way of having like, some kind of super soldiers.
That was my guess too. My point is the movie doesn't explain it.
No, that doesn't tell you that. I think that there is a bit of a gray molarity because I thought that at some point, like Cameron would flip over about like, wait a second. I mean, you guys are trying to control scanners. You have like this program to keep track of all the scanners, and you are like, like getting this drug that is about controlling them too. Like getting them addicted to something that they can calm, like their voices. Is like, so you're not the good guys exactly either.
Yeah, no, nobody's really a good person or a good
But
entity.
then, yeah. But then there is like actually, and I agree with you. It's like the script may not be the strong, like the forte of this movie because there are like some, like towards the end of the movie, is like Cameron says that is like Dr. Rudd was like the first person to treat him properly, and he was like basically a saint to him.
But Dr. Ruth was a real bad person.
Yes, is that at the beginning of the movie he treats him pretty poorly, you know. So it's a bit of a okay. Is this some kind of a Stockholm syndrome that Cameron has, or is this just poor writing?
Also, and I feel bad that I keep going to the things that I didn't like about the film because overall I enjoyed myself a tremendous amount. um, the performance by Cameron Vale I thought was supposed to be stilted. Apparently, that's just his acting skills, and it's one of the
Sorry, the
worst.
what?
So the actor who plays Cameron Vale, the main character,
Yep.
I thought his performance was supposed to be very dry and wooden. Apparently, no, that's just the limit of his acting
Jeez.
skills. So
Yep.
we don't find anything out based on his performance because he just walks through with a monotone face and says, "What's going on?"
The acting is terrible
It's
from everyone.
really bad.
That's the reason what I said is like this is very B series kind of thing. It's like maybe the budget was all used for the special effects, but when it comes like to the writing and the acting, it's pretty B series level.
And there's a lot of information out there about why this was. So, was it the lottery tax? There's some tax in Canada that funded a couple of Cronenberg's films. This is one of them, but he got funding right before the end of the year. And to qualify for the funds, they had to wrap up filming in a calendar year.
Oh,
And so he had to start shooting before there was even a finished script. So
yeah.
that explains a lot.
Yeah. My boyfriend was telling me that, and we also know from an interview that you sent me that they actually reshuffle some of the scenes. So maybe that's the reason why it also feels like a bit weird. Why it starts with like getting this guy like Cameron Val, and it's like then suddenly we have like this other scene in Consec, and then we go back to Cameron Val. That is like, why does this happen?
So the interview you're referring to is an interview from the early 80s with John Carpenter, David Cronenberg, and who is another third director. He's not only horror, but he was directing horror at the time. So they interviewed these three guys in the early 80s, and Cronenberg mentioned that the famous head explosion scene initially was the opening scene of Scanners, but because his peers gave him feedback, he pushed it to about 10 minutes in.
And I think that the peers were wrong. The movie should open with that scene.
Yeah, I think that Cronenberg was trying to be a little more elevated at the time, where if he had the perspective of looking back, he'd be like, this is an exceptional B-series movie that should start out with a bang.
Yep. Yep. And I think that it actually sets the tone about like who are these people, what they can do,
How
you know,
dangerous they are, how, yeah.
correct. You know, so in any case, I like it, but I think that is a bit, you know, like what it is. So you cannot ask more. This is what it is. It's entertainment. Is whatever. It has like its flaws, definitely. But yeah, it's fine.
Again, lots of big problems, but this movie was so fun to watch. Like, even when I was completely lost, I just enjoyed it. Even in the boring moments, I knew we were going to go to some place that was like just batshit insane, and I was there for it. And now, if you really don't want spoilers, just stop listening at this point. The final scene is one of the most absurd showdowns between like two main characters that I've ever seen. The two people. So scanners can't just hear the thoughts of other people. They can make fire happen, and they can do anything with their mind that Jean Grey could. Is that fair?
Yeah. That's okay. Good comparison.
And so there's obviously this final showdown that's all inside their minds while their bodies react, and it's just like the weirdest, coolest, and tone deaf at the same time scene. That I'm like, this is amazing that they took this seriously and just filmed this, because there's no speaking during it. It's like, I don't know, 2 minutes of just watching people's faces contort.
Yeah. And that's like the thing. You see a lot of that. A lot of different kind of the faces, like just like shaking. And then there is some effect, you know. So I think that there is like a lot of filler for actually like the payoff of the makeup effect. So what about if we go over the questions? Hey, so Blake, would you watch Scanners again?
Let's do it. $100%. Not just because I enjoyed this first time so much,
but it's not something
I really want
to
figure out more about this
tomorrow.
movie. So yes,
I had the feeling that for me, just with 2 times, it was enough for at least like just getting most of the gist of it. Would you recommend the Scanners?
Yeah, I would be more selective, obviously, just based on the insane special effects.
It's funny how,
gory special
putting it in
effects.
Perspective, when I was little, that special effect of the head exploding,
a lot worth
I found it like
in
incredibly disturbing. And this time I was like, okay, that's cool. You know, it's a bit. No, I was going to say that it's like, besides like knowing that it was coming, I think that our sensibility when it comes to special effects, it has
going back
changed,
to
like,
that
quite a bit.
Oh, finish, please.
It's like seeing like a watermelon exploding is no longer the same result.
Yeah, so this is kind of the last time period where practical special effects were really a thing. Pretty quickly after this, CGI became cheap enough to do. But I do remember in that final scene, the showdown between the main character, the good guy and the bad guy. I thought specifically I would have been absolutely terrified of this. As
more
a kid.
like a history
it really
piece,
messed me up, and I
more
would have had
about
nightmares.
this is like what horror used to look like in the 80s. This is entertaining. It's not like a, how do you say, like time for like a masterpiece, but it's still a representative movie that I think that if you are interested in digging into that, is important to watch. Would you remember it?
Agreed. I'm gonna say no. Beyond, it's the movie where the guy's head explodes.
Yeah, same here.
I mean,
didn't
all
even
joking
remember
aside, I
that
really
watched
did
it
have to
until
read
we
this
watched
plot
another
a number of
Cronenberg
times
movie,
just to kind of
and I
understand it.
mistakenly thought that it's like,
I'm not
oh,
gonna
this is where the
remember
head
this.
explodes.
Nope.
And you're like, oh no, that's Scanners. I remember Scanners. And they started, I just like tried to piece it, and I couldn't. When the movie started, I remember like more parts about like the baby scanner, like the head exploding, like all of the special practical effects and the likes. But no freaking way that I would remember the story. Is there anything artistic about Scanners?
So I'm slowly gaining an appreciation for these practical effects in the 80s, and the fact that none of this was done in CGI. Like, I am genuinely impressed with what they're able to make look semi-real on screen.
And exactly the same. Is that for me, the special effects,
where
fine.
the artistic train stops.
Very artistic.
For me.
Everything else, move on.
I do want to say that the sound editing was really fascinating because it grated on my mind. Like, and I think that was the point in some scenes. Like, I was impressed with some of the sound work. Ooh, that's a tough question.
I'm going to go with no.
I mean, I can
see it as a yes. I'm a bit on the fence because I think that the topic itself is timeless. The execution is pretty timely. Not Lost Boys timely, but pretty close.
Like I said, I was on the fence. It could be timely, but the story itself is not rooted in a time frame. The special effects are. The low budget aspects are. I don't know. I could go either way, but I'm saying timeless.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think there's enough here in this world. Like, let's learn more about the Scanners. Let's learn more about Dr. Root. Yeah,
was created.
I feel like the material lends itself to that.
Did they say what was the original intent? Tranquility. Yeah. And then you have that dissect. Yeah. And that was like the
it was supposed to be a tranquilizer for pregnant women.
Yes, you could have done. Yeah. You could do like a prequel
like Quaaludes
of these. Or you could do like a sequel, or even like this story, like doing like a limited series about like how these two people are. Yeah, and it feels almost like a Greek tragedy. And I won't give away more stuff, but about like these two people that they are deemed to meet each other and decide like where they stand on the alliance and their perspective over the world. So,
in fact, there's another Cronenberg film that was adapted to an HBO show, and I got it confused. I thought it was Scanners, but that made total sense to me. I'm like, yeah, they can turn this into an HBO show now. I see it.
One for it, yeah.
So the movie's quite long for this genre. I mean, it's 140, 148, something like that.
I'm going.
I think we probably need more than an hour for this story. Yeah.
I think that because of the gaps on the storytelling and everything, I had the feelings that you could have cut like more stuff, and this would have worked absolutely fine. Is that the female main character is that you could have removed her and nothing would have changed. But it's not that as
This
you were
rarely
saying earlier, is
happens,
that yeah,
but
there
you
is enough
convinced me to
potential for
change my
making a TV
answer.
show.
Yes, this could have been a
But there
short.
is also like the traces of you could remove half of it, and this could have worked exactly the same way. Do you think that this movie could have been better?
Yep.
That's fair. Yeah, for me, yes. Like the
Yes.
script,
The list is too long,
the
honestly, to
acting
go
is
through, but
atrocious.
yes.
It's atrocious. Yeah, but the bad guy, like all of the secondaries that they pop up only for one or
Besides
two
Dr. Root,
scenes,
Dr. Root was good. I liked
everything
him.
is pretty cringy. Like pretty like, okay, we need to make this happen as soon as possible. As you were saying, like a tax break or a tax incentive or whatever, and just like trying to rush through this about like, okay, just one take, just move on. Yeah, we cannot make this better.
So, Michael
I know.
Ironside plays Revok, and you would recognize
I didn't
him
know
in
that.
a million things now. Apparently, he was completely unknown
I
when he
like
took
one
this, or when
thing
he had
from
this role.
early
This was his
Cronenberg
first
that
thing.
he uses like the streets of wherever he's recording. I think that this is Montreal where he recorded, and I think that he mentions something. I think that he mentions that they're in the United States at some point. They never mention Canada. Yeah, yeah. So it's something that I find endearing about like, oh,
I think
you're
they-
just recording around the street in
Yeah,
Montreal.
yeah,
That
you're
if
right,
I'm from
you're right.
Montreal, I would recognize this shit. But you're saying it's like, oh no, we're in the United States. Don't worry. It's like it's fine. Don't think about it. It's fine. I'm not going to even like try to pretend. It's like that Godzilla movie from 10 years ago that it was supposed to take place in San Francisco, but it was shot. I don't know if it was in Toronto or Vancouver, and they act. Yeah, well, nothing if makes sense, but it's that they actually went not an extra mile. I would say like an extra
None of
yard
it made sense.
of just like putting some signs that it says Bart. There is a. I know that that's not real. I know that there is not a Bart stop there because that doesn't exist. But I applaud that you at least did a Google search for just checking what is the public transportation. Correct,
I
but
mean,
it's like
that's
if you are
some
from San
dedication.
Francisco, from the Bay
Because
Area,
nobody
it's
even
like, you know
outside
that
of the Bay
that's
Area, no
not
one
there.
knows what Bart
That's
is.
not
So it's like
the Bay
confusing
Area.
everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, in this case, I found it like.
So for the
endearing,
people
but
that
in any
know,
case,
they
yes,
know it's
this
not
could
real,
happen.
and the people that don't know are like, "What the fuck is Bart?"
So should we score this? Wait, I have to score it.
Yes.
So
Go ahead.
for me, I'm going to give it a 6.5.
That was literally my exact score. I thought I was going to give it higher.
In some kind of way,
I mean, this film is an absolute
You
mess.
have like a cousin.
But I
when
had
you were
so
growing
much
up,
fun
and
watching
he's like,
it.
this person is a complete mess. It doesn't get to train wreck, but at least it's like, it's fun to just like for a while. It's like, it doesn't make like too much sense, but it's entertaining to just like talk with this person for a tiny bit. Yeah. Yep. No, because he may be like a bit
Yeah,
crass
the person
or
like smoke a joint
like
with
over the
outside
top, like
at
practical
Christmas.
jokes kind of thing.
But you're not
it's
gonna, like,
exactly
hang out
this.
with
It's like
throughout the
this doesn't have like the same kind of vibe, but I think that it has a bit of an underground vibe to it because of this like cheapness on how it was made. I think that I like that from the early Cronenberg, that everything feels like, oh my god, it's like if I were in the 80s and I had watched this, I would be like talking with my hipster friends, in a cool punk bar about it.
Yep.
Six and Market. Oh, at the showdown. If it
At,
still existed. Yeah.
Oh shit. Yes, at the bar we like it 6th
Yeah, the
Market.
good old times. But yeah, okay. So, anything else
Yeah.
to say about this movie? About the scanners? Any closing thoughts?
Just that I've seen, I don't know, 8 or 10 Cronenberg films. This hadn't been one of them. I was surprised at how much I had fun watching this. I've said
I
that
think
like
that
20
our
times.
sensitivity has changed like quite a bit.
Even if
I mean,
you
at
know
least
Cronenberg, you think,
mine,
this
and I
body
feel like
horror thing isn't for
society as a
me,
whole
I would
too,
give
with
Scanners
all
a
the
chance.
CGI. So this feels endearing. It feels like a different time and a different culture that he was trying to represent, but still he pulls an entertaining piece. Yeah. Yep. That's it. Yep. Yep. All right,
No, that's the right word. This is
yeah, thank you so
entertaining.
much for putting up
Period.
with us. Hopefully, more entertainment will come
Well, until next
on the
time.
next one. Bye.
And now until next time. Goodbye.